Okay, so you hear the inflation numbers out there for the month of March, 11.25% print from 11.31% year on year. That's the figure from the MBS about at 8 o'clock this morning. But month on month, we saw inflation at 0.79%, up from 0.73% previous. If you look at the food inflation, month on month, that also went higher to 0.88% from 0.82% on a month on 30-day reading basis. But if you look at the year on year, that came in slightly lower, 13.45% from 13.47%. Core inflation, some folks still asking on Twitter, what happened? From 9.80% to 9.50% year on year, and a decline also on a month basis from 0.65% to what you see there on the top right corner of your TV screen, 0.53%. The state with one of the highest urban inflation, food inflation last month was Lagos, and that's part of the data we got this morning. Urban inflation up 0.81% on a month-on-month basis, and rural inflation also 0.06% higher to 0.77%. That's coming up there at the bottom of your TV screen from 0.71% in the month of February. All those data you can get if you check online as we speak. So let's talk to Ajibola Ero-Phillips, who is the head of FX market at FBN Quest Merchant Bank. He's live to us from FMDQ Exchange Place in downtown Lagos. So this is our inflation day. Ajibola, good morning. So what does this make of you, the FI and the FX marketplace?
Good morning, Bossing.
Good to have you.
Not much has changed. Figures were expected. Market hasn't had a overreaction to the inflation figures. Fixed income markets remain quiet. The T-bills front, activity has been largely dominant at the mid-tenor. That's the October, between the September and November bill. This is largely driven by local demand. So not much has happened. We're expecting there's going to be a PMA auction this week. About 58.49 billion is on offer. We expect that the same amount that matures, which is that same 58.49, will be taken out via PMA. Also, there's an OMO auction, but as with all OMO auctions in recent times, we expect that CBN is going to mop up that same amount at the OMO auction later this week. For the bonds market, there's been a bit of buying. There's been a demand pressure, especially on the 10-year curve. This is largely driven by local demand, especially the PFAs, who feels that, our thinking is that the yields on offer are quite attractive, and so there's been a bit of buying on that particular end of the curve. For the FX market has been relatively very, very stable. The FX market in the RND continues to trade around 360 and 361.5. We're still seeing some inflows from local non-bank corporates as well as from some FPIs. But again, some of the supplies that we've seen from the FPIs are slightly waned, but it's still enough to keep the market afloat and keep the market relatively liquid.
Okay, great picture, but it looks like a quiet Monday to start the week yesterday. So is that an idea of what the rest of the week will look like? Of course, this week is likely going to be cut short by the Easter Good Friday, which is just a few days from now. So how do you think things will wrap up by Thursday, when you have those mature treasuries and the central bank will not be doing any further treasury sales until Tuesday, when everybody's back in business? I'm going to be here anyway, so let me just add that for now. You folks are the one having holiday. Go ahead, Ajibola.
Like you mentioned, we don't expect that much activity. Like you said, it's a very short week. The auction, both the PMA as well as the home auction, except something untoward happens, we don't expect that there'll be much activity. For the T-bills, you would have seen that the one-year bill has, yields on that have inched back to about 12.8 after pointing at 12.3 at the previous auctions. We don't expect that anything untoward like that will happen at this PMA auction. We expect that things will remain relatively stable. The OMO auction, the 1 year will continue to be issued at that. We expect that will continue to be issued around 13.04. So like you mentioned, we don't expect that there will be any big shift in the market despite the new inflation figures.
Okay. So the yield curve is not likely to behave anyway way out of the current trend, despite this positive inflation year-on-year reading.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you. Ajibola Ero-Phillips, head fixed income, head FX trading at FBN Quest Merchant Bank. Thank you so much for putting the FI and the FX together for us in this conversation. Thank you very much from FMDQ Exchange Place. Do have a great day. We're checking in with the stock market. next, and that's where Temple Ashaju is coming through to wrap this up together for us. I'm sure inflation is not taking any, it's not taking a bite yet on the equity space. So Temple, what will be the talking points or the trading theme for today as we start the second trading day of the week?
I think the outlook is still a bit positive with some kind of, given the kind of sentiment we saw yesterday, the performance we saw yesterday was a bit mixed. Going further, we should see a bit of a positive bias in the market going forward, and that's how things are looking right now. The market is up some 0.45%. We've seen a lot of interest in the banking names here. Zenith Bank, for example, is currently up some 5.85%. A lot of the banking names that were actually down yesterday have picked up now this morning. We've got FBN Holdings rising. We've seen FCMB also experiencing some good volumes right now in the markets. The only company that is experiencing a bit of a dip right now is Union Bank. It's down some 0.73%, moving away from 6 naira 85 kobo down to 6 naira 80 kobo at this point in time. But for a greater portion of the market, if you look at the Guinness chart, everything looks green at this point in time. Investors are currently checking out the consumer goods space. They're looking at the banking space. And even the oil and gas looks like something that will also turn green today with the way things are going so far, Bosun.
Great. But a number of companies are still talking about their board of directors meeting, shareholders meeting. So it looks like we're not even talking, we're still dealing with the backlog of 2018 earnings and meetings and all of that with many of the quoted companies, even though we're halfway into the first month of the second half of the second quarter of the year.
Yes, Bosun. That also speaks to the readiness of those companies to be able to declare their Q1 2019 numbers any moment from now. It just tells you about the transparency and, of course, corporate governance structure that the stock exchange and, of course, other regulators have integrated in some of these companies. In all of these companies, actually, it speaks to what is actually playing out right now in the system. So except for the insurance, a few insurance firms that are currently having a bit of backlogs in terms of the delay filings that they had notified the stock exchange about. But now, if you even take a look at the portal, rather, of the stock exchange, you see a couple of companies, a couple of those insurance companies now currently declaring their 2018 full year numbers, or regular insurance or thereabout, is one of those companies that has also just declared theirs. It's currently on the portal of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So it's kind of a trend that we'll also continue to see going forward in this market in anticipation of the Q1 2019 numbers, which a lot of analysts and traders here have actually predicted that it's not going to be looking too good. It may not come with any surprise because, again, remember it was an election period. The general elections took place within this first quarter of 2019. And if you recall, a lot of investors actually moved out of the market except for a bit of the trading, a bit of good performance that we saw in February. But post the presidential election, we saw how a lot of these investors sold down and moved further into the treasury bill space. So it's not something that a lot of traders here are really, really positive about, Bosun.
Okay, yes, Temple, I don't want us to close this conversation without talking about Golden Breweries PLC. After a number of years being in the doldrums, this brewing company based in Abia State is back. It's been listed on the exchange, selling at 89 kobo per share. This company is like, and I put it out on Twitter, I said it's like a cat with 9 lives. So yesterday we saw just a very small transaction of 180 units of this company traded. The share price still not moving. This is one company hasn't paid dividend. The numbers have been really bad. They suffered massively. Now it looks like with Golden Guinea Breweries coming there in the southeast, this is going to be another challenge to the big boys in the brewing business. Nigerian breweries, Guinness, and international breweries in Ilesha, Osun State. This is one player who is back in business.
Yes, that's just good. This simply means that a lot of investors are going to continue to drink. That's what I see. Because again, Nigerian breweries has been seriously challenged in terms of its share price in recent times. And of course, the international breweries, which had been at 30 naira for a longer time, some investors had actually thought that will actually shoot further, but it didn't shoot. It's now back lower than 30 naira. And of course, the Golden Brewery coming on board will simply contribute more to the competition in that sector, Bosun.
Yes, it's going to be big competition, but we want to say congratulations to everyone who's gotten Golden Breweries back in business. Let's continue this business morning tomorrow, shall we? I'll see you again. Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.